Welcome everyone to our webinar, Burnout, Balance, and Being Dad, How to Thrive. My name is Nitin Tahiliani and I serve on the board of Quality Care for Children. I'm a father of two toddler boys, so today's topic is particularly relevant to me as I continue to search for advice around balancing the demands of being a husband, father, and a predictive employee. I would like to introduce you today to today's moderator at QCC, Mr. Lamont Jones.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. My name is Lamont Jones. I'm the CEO and co-founder of an amazing organization called the Further and Father Corporation, where we empower fathers, strengthen families, and help to transform communities by doing great work with our dads to live intentionally with their families. But today's webinar, that's what we're here for. The topic is burnout, balance, and being dad. How to thrive is brought to you today by our leading corporate sponsor, Carter's. For over 10 years, their support has helped us provide information and resources to families. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, go ahead and like and subscribe. And if you're interested in learning more about what we're doing, please click on the notification bell so that you never miss out on another Parent Power webinar. So thank you for joining us today for this webinar designed for dads of littles navigating tantrums, timeouts, and back to school transitions. Fatherhood in the early years is a nonstop juggling act, and we know that, especially when back to school season kicks in and adds even more chaos to the mix. So let's get started. At this time, I would like to introduce our panelists for today. Mr. Kari Arnold, he's the founder of The Library Dads, a nonprofit organization that empowers bonding between dads and their children, exposes kids to the power and joy of books, and establishes a supportive brotherhood of active fathers. Kari is also the managing editor of Warner Brothers, Discovery, and TNT Sports. Our second panelist, Mr. Alfred Boyd IV, a graduate from Frederick Douglass High School with associate's degree in early childhood. He's an educator for several years currently with the DeKalb County Schools. He holds a degree in auto mechanics and is a soon-to-be husband, a proud father of 4 kids, ages 16, 10, 4, and 3, and has a great passion for coaching. Welcome, our panelists. Thank you all for joining us, and let's share. They're here to share some insight and some very important topics. And we're going to start it off with the chat with our panelists about burnout, balancing, and navigating fatherhood. At the end of our time together, we'll answer some of your questions. So please leave your questions in the Q&A and not the chat. So here's a polling question that popped up. So before we get into our discussion, let's go into these polling questions here. All right. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how stressful do you feel on a typical day managing parenting responsibilities? Rating the scale from 1 to 10. How stressful do you feel on a typical day? That's question number 1. Question number 2, on a scale of 1 through 5, how effective are stress management techniques you currently use when dealing with your children? For example, exercising, talking to another partner, hobbies. On a scale of 1 to 10, how effective are your stress managing techniques? And question number 3, do you feel comfortable seeking professional help or utilizing support networks to help deal with emotional challenges or parenting related stress? Single choice answer, yes or no. take a moment and answer those questions, and then we'll move into the questions for our panelists. Okay, we'll start it off with you, Kari. Kari, what exactly is a dad burnout? How is it different from general stress or exhaustion? And what are some healthy ways that dads can reset, even with limited time or support?
Yeah. First, happy to be here. Thankful to be on this webinar. I think dad burnout is when your stress is high and your tolerance is low. So ideally, we would be in a place where our tolerance is high and our stress is low. So here's an example. We kept our daughter home for her first 2 years. My wife and I worked from home. We could tolerate it. But then as she started to approach two, it was you're not the same kid you were last year, So we weren't able to tolerate it the same way we were, the past couple years. And so part of our way of filling that gap, if you will, was daycare. It became part of the village, if you will. And not just because of her developments, but because of everything else, trying to balance along with it, whether it's professionally, financially, relationally, you name it, like all of that weight that came with my seat, in addition to her throwing tantrums left and right,
Hmm.
it was time. And that's been helpful. But honestly, I think for anybody, a healthy way to reset is what's called therapeutic encounters. So I believe in God, I believe in therapy, but I also believe I can have a therapeutic encounter with a stranger. It's not
Hmm.
therapy, but that experience, that encounter was therapeutic. Like, Lamont, have you ever had a conversation with someone for the first time and you left feeling like, wow, that filled my cup. Like
Yeah.
it was therapeutic. It's that
Yeah.
reset you need. And so you can have a therapeutic encounter today on this QCC webinar, right?
That's right.
And so I would say also another healthy way to reset, doing something for yourself. And let me say this because it's very important. Um, Dad guilt can lead to dad burnout. I was telling my therapist about how I was feeling one time, and she said normally that's called mom guilt. She hadn't really seen a dad kind of express this, but now she's like, okay, so dads apparently deal with this too. And I was essentially wanting to do something for myself, but I felt kind of guilty for it, and that
Yeah.
prevented me from taking time for me. And so, if you're showing up every day for your kids, you have to find time to create some time to show up for yourself. So that would be mine because they're going to get a better version of you when you do that. So I try to have a reset day. Mine is in this season is typically Wednesdays, middle of the week. And so that helps my tolerance level in a sense because, my mind is thinking, okay, I recently filled my cup.
Love it. No, love it. Love it. You shared a lot. You lifted up a lot, man. And if we have time, I want to come back to that dad guilt because that's I often find myself taking care of me last often, as we wear many hats. So great point. We'll put a pin in that one and visit that if we have some more time. Um, so this one is to the both of you, Alfred and Kari. What does realistic balance look like for a modern parent, especially dads? Like what strategies have worked for the parents that you've worked with?
Mr. Kyrie, Mr. Arnold, you want to go ahead? Or?
I can take it if you want. Because I,
Well, I like to get the feedback from the both of
Okay.
you, but
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean,
whoever want to go first.
yeah, he can go. Mr. Arnold, you can go ahead.
I'll start then because I want to define balance.
Okay.
I think it's kind of become a polarizing word, if you will.
Okay.
But I know one definition when you Google, it says when elements are equal or in the correct proportions. And so we hear balance and we always think equal when we need to be thinking correct proportions. Like if I'm baking a cake, would I put in the same amount of vanilla extract as I do milk? The same amount of sugar as I do flour. Like it would be foolish to distribute that evenly. So you need to decide what those correct proportions are for, your life because your life is different. Your needs are different. Mine is different than Lamont's. Lamont's is different than Alfred's. You get to determine what the balance looks like. Like everybody doesn't make red velvet cake the same. I don't trust everybody's red velvet, but you determine, the flavors, the balance, um, correct in a correct proportionally way, right? So I think it's important to define that, get clear, and I would say to get specific. I started creating an ideal week, and that ideal week is going to show you, the balance you are searching for. Has been really helpful. Ideally, this is how my week would look, and when I say ideal, I still mean real now, like you know,
Mhm.
saying I'm gonna go to Bora Bora every week. Like, no, I have a family. This is what's real and what's ideal. And it's gonna show your priorities and also what's actually possible. Because, like you said, realistic balance. So, practically, I would say that.
Love that. Alfred?
Yeah, I would say the same thing as Mr. Arnold. Balance is, I mean, realistic balance for me. I expect most of chaotic days. I just try to deal with it in I guess, a manageable way. Take, how you say realistic balance. Just, most people don't think that, everything is easy, everything is okay, just push right along through it. So, I mean, I try to you know, uh, get up in the morning and expect, oh, okay, well, I know the kids had a fever today, so I know he's not gonna be, he's not gonna be all happy and sunny. He's not gonna get out the house real quick and easy. So, what can I do to help that? That keeps me from throwing my other balance off because I know I have this little set plan that make my morning go by. So instead of me, generally getting mad and getting upset, he's crying and he's whining. I just generally try to fit my new whether if I have a new plan into whatever else is going on that at that moment. So, when they say realistic, I mean, it's no easy way to, to say that. So I don't know, maybe I'm going off a little topic, but I just feel like when they say that it's no really no easy balance. Like I think I'm saying it wrong or maybe saying it right. I don't know. But yeah, that's how I see it as that way.
No, no, you saying it right. And if I could summarize it for you, you're just saying also work in there with the ability to pivot, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to also achieve your outcome. So I got you. I
Yes,
got you.
sir.
No, you guys are spot on, man. And Kyrie, I'm gonna shoot this one back to you. So, can you share an example of what makes a morning or evening routine effective for you? Like, what's one small change that can make a big difference in reducing daily chaos?
Yeah, I think routines in and of itself reduces daily chaos. I remember when we took her out of daycare for 2 weeks this summer and she had no real routine. Every day kind of seemed wow. Like it was she didn't have the structure, and she was just showcasing a whole nother side of the two-year-old stage that I became familiar with. Listen, everything they tell you about age two is real. I learned that is I'm sorry, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Um, but also I would say, because you said one small change, waking up at least an hour before the kids do definitely
Mm,
helps. Like, and honestly, like 1.5, 90 minutes is my sweet spot. Because now you filled your cup enough to manage however they're feeling and the rest of your day. Like Alfred was saying, you don't know necessarily how they might wake up or what they might be experiencing that morning. But I feel my cup enough to manage it more, like I was saying earlier, tolerate it more. And so if I have to pivot, I can. And then also sometimes you might have to not just pivot that morning, but you may have to pivot the routine if you're starting to see, all right, I'm seeing a pattern here. Like this structure isn't really working for us. So we had to do that recently. I enjoyed waking my daughter up, being the first one to get her out the bed and read a book to her first thing. But now she asked for mom to get her out the crib. She would throw more tantrums with me for some reason, getting her out. And yeah, while I enjoy doing that, I'm sure it'll come back at some point. But right now, it's like, okay, I'll cook breakfast, get the stuff ready while you brush your teeth, yada yada. So everybody dynamic doesn't look like that, but it's just about pivoting, when you see, all right, this routine isn't working.
yeah,
So yeah.
no, I love it. Love it. Love it, man. Love it. And man, Alfred, so uh, we know what you do there at the DeKalb school system. So
Mhm.
how can parents support emotional resilience in the kids without dismissing their feelings? And can you share what are ways to model calm and confidence even when you're also feeling that chaos?
I would say, man, now, Mr. Jones, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I would say, now, this is a hard one because I'm old school. Hey, but with this generation, with my 16-year-old, I had to learn to be more understanding. Like when she coming to me, try to see it my way, but out of her eyes. My 10-year-old, I work where he go to school at, so it's like, once he may get in a slight little trouble. So instead of me getting on him right then and there, I try to tell him, what happened. Like, tell me your side and let's see if it match up. So that way, because sometimes, kids get, nervous, they get flustered. Oh, I'm in trouble immediately. Oh, I'm panicking. I don't know what to do. So, you just try to not, just like I said, not dismiss the feelings, because, they are very emotional. They're young. You just try to understand them more. Just try to, get the feeling, the whole outlook of everything, instead of just, just like I said, hey, I'm one of the hard knocks parents, and just like I said, I had to switch it all up and be more lenient, more compliant to, hey, well, I get it. Sometimes kids are not having a good day. Sometimes, we have, bad days at work where, hey, please don't let the boss say nothing to me today. Please don't let, let me hurry up and get out of it. So kids have that the same. So just try to see it that way. That's all.
No, that's good. No, that's good, man. And being old school, there's nothing wrong with old school. Old school factors in discipline, it factors in strategy, but
Yeah.
the modern now to be modernized, right? We have to
Yeah.
always figure out the ways to take a step back so that
Yes,
we
sir.
can
Yeah.
continue that conversation, man. But good stuff. No, Alfred,
Yeah.
I tell
Yes,
you,
sir.
man, you and Kari, y'all are kicking this thing out the park. And Kari, you mentioned this earlier, but we're gonna revisit this. And if you can give the parents some strategies,
Oh,
we've all had those mornings, and you mentioned it. What helps you stay calm besides getting up hour, 90 minutes as your sweet spot when everything is going wrong? And how do you recover mentally after a rough start of your day?
Wow, I would say silence is my best option. Because I know what I say will one day become their inner voice. And sometimes if I just start saying how I'm feeling, it might not come out the right way, whether it's tone or my actual words. So I can't control every situation in the morning, but my reaction is what I can control. Uh,
Mm.
I've actually burned myself on the iron this morning, when getting ready. And it's
Oh
not
man.
bad, but it's the biggest burn I've had, and it threw things off. But, I stayed calm. Made this makeshift tourniquet, was driving with it and dropped her off, went to the doctor, put some stuff on it, and then I went for a walk. So in terms of recovering mentally, that's really my favorite thing in terms of just recovering. And
Yeah.
also, it's not just the walk, it's the walking without the phone. And so I feel kind of calm, if you will, and I can like reset and restart my day. Because it be some rough mornings, like that had nothing to do with her. That was just really me running
That's right.
my
That's
clothes.
right. That's right.
Um, let alone when she's doing something. It was fine this morning, but yesterday morning, and she threw a tantrum just because we were taking my car to school. Or I told her we were gonna take my car to school, but we ended up taking my wife's car, and that just set her off. I mean, tantrum lasted 15 minutes on the way to school, and over that. And so it was, in that moment where um I had to stay silent. I tried, a few things. I typically try three things. Gave her favorite toy, didn't work. Waited 5 minutes, gave her a book. I didn't have an interactive book. Like that actually helps. These books called she loves these peekaboo books by Camilla Reed. And they're like really
Okay.
interactive. And so
Uh-huh.
Look those up, not just by Camilla Reed. They have a bunch of different ones, but she really loves those, and those help regulate her emotions. Did not work yesterday because I did not bring it, and the one I gave her didn't work. So then finally, about 5 minutes later, I tried a podcast that she likes, and that worked. So it took 15 minutes just for that tantrum to go away, and it took three different strategies. So just kind of having some different, things in your tool belt. The name of the podcast is Lila's Loop Cash. She loves that. Work It Out Wombat, she likes that. So those are some practical things. But like I said, not all situations are controllable. Your reactions are really what matters. I still remember to this day how my mom would react when my brother and I were in the back seat fighting, and how she managed her stress. And so they're watching because, like I said, I still remember um, the Baptist hymn that she would start singing when we were cutting up. And so,
Yeah,
if she starts seeing me practicing some breathing exercises, then it's not just going to help her now, but it'll help her when she's my age
wow,
and she's raising kids. It's like, all right, this is what I saw dad do. I got to do the same thing.
that's good. No, that's good. In fact, that's great. That's great. You gave quite a few. And Alfred, I know you've done this a few times, man, but what is the one thing that you wish someone had told you before the first back to school session started as a parent?
I'm glad. I'm glad they brought this. I would say preparation, planning. I would say with me and my fiance, communication, just having that cuts down a lot of the chaos going back and forth. Like me and her, she went back to school full time, and now she's doing an intern for to be a counselor. So we got together to see who's going to drop the little ones to pre-K to daycare. I get the older ones to school, or if we need to do vice versa. We conversating and stuff like that. So I'd say any new parent, hey, just communication, just expect the chaos, but it's preparation, planning, even if when you're tired, like you come home and just be like, man, I don't feel like doing nothing. Just take a few minutes. Hey, I got to do this in the morning. I got to get this done. The kids need this. That goes a long way because back to school, especially with me being a teacher, it's
Yeah,
hectic. Like I mean, where the bus address, car address, you got to get school zones. You got to make sure the kid is in the right class. You got to make sure schoolwork is here, supplies. So you don't want to be waiting till the last minute. So it's just, hey, preparation, planning. If you are, if you got somebody to work with, co-parenting, or if you with somebody, just all you communication, man, just talk. That's it, and it'll go a long way to help make everything a lot easier, a lot smoother. I mean, just like Mr. Arna say, it's a lot of stuff that we plan together, like the podcast. I got to try that one, but like the book ebooks and stuff like that. Yeah, they read them and they have like little moments where the characters move and stuff like that. So it helps. It just the planning and stuff with parents and stuff like that. It helps so much.
and Alfred, because you're in the school system, and Kari hasn't experienced this yet because his daughter's a lot younger.
Hmm.
What about that long list of school supplies? I mean,
Oh, man, me being a
you have
teacher,
to
I
do
hate
this
putting it
several
out.
times.
I don't like putting the school supply out because we have to go through our stuff. Like us teachers had to go through like all our materials to see what we had to tell the parents. So it's like look, just bring whatever y'all need. We'll figure it out at the end of the school year. Hopefully we don't need it. So, but yeah, that's why I say yeah, just Mr. Arnold, just whenever you get a chance, just stock up now if you want to. Just go ahead and get it on out the way. So that way, hey, I'm gonna tell you, paper, pencils. That's what you're gonna need. Hey, and anything else, it'll come along.
Yeah, yeah. No, my kids are a lot older.
Oh,
Not in the school system, but I look at it, and it's not like it's any different than it was when they were younger. It's
yeah.
just you just have to have those things. It's almost like they're essentials that you
Yeah.
definitely need to stock up on. So we can never get enough of paper and pencils.
Yes, sir.
So, but next here, we're going to ask our panelists some questions. Guys, we got some questions coming to you, but these questions was provided by our parents who signed up for the webinar. And we're going to just throw them out there. I'm going to read them to you, and we'd love for you to give our parents some feedback. The first one is, I am a father of two and find myself snapping at my kids over minor things.
Mm.
I have been working overtime and haven't had a full night's sleep in weeks and feel like I am just going through the motions. I used to enjoy bedtime stories, but now I rush through them just to get to the couch. Brothers, what are some coping skills to get me through this period of our lives?
Mm.
I could take that because when I hear coping skills, this R3 method that I learned comes to mind:
Mm.
refill, recreation, and recovery. We talked
Yes.
a little bit about these individually, but like refilling, you have to have something that recharges you daily. I see someone in the chat saying gym, reading. Like I enjoy those as well. I mentioned walking. It's scientifically proven, to do wonders. Like it's not just an opinion. Actually, science says walking and connecting without, your phone does help you, refill. And then recreation, I would say, can you make time to do one fun recreational activity a week? So for me, I
Mm-hmm.
play my Xbox once a week. That's
Yep.
that's my thing. I learned there's a king in every kid, but there's also a kid in every king. And
Yeah.
so, what is
That's
it
right.
that makes you feel like a kid again?
Yeah.
For me, I'm sitting down, I'm playing Madden. And then in terms of the third, our recovery, yeah, I mean sleep. You talked about that. Feel like he hadn't got a full night's of rest. It's definitely something your body needs, but we all go through these seasons where it seems to be a limited supply at times. But just remember it's seasonal. I was at a conference last month and a guy on stage shared this 3-2-1 method, which I
Yeah.
believe is, yeah,
Yeah.
attributed to Mel Robbins. So 3 hours before bed, no
Good.
food, 2 hours before bed, no work, and 1 hour
Mm.
before bed, no screens. And
Yeah.
so that will help with recovery and sleep, and kind of help you, go from going to sleep wired and waking up tired,
Mm-hmm.
and get back on track to where you're operating optimally.
Yeah.
And, Alfred, you was echoing and on, and you had anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, that's what I would say. I forgot the I was at the DAP. It's called DAP, Dad's. Oh, it's at my school. I would say they just started last year where yeah, it's something similar to the 3-2-1 method, but they added two more steps. I gotta get with my partner. It's 5-4-3-2-1. And it's
Oh,
the last three steps, just like I said, find something for you. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
and listen, man, we can never have too many coping skills.
Yes.
Never have too many coping skills.
Hmm.
All right. Hey, excellent, excellent. I'm gonna get to the next question.
Can I say this
Um,
real quick, Lamont?
sure, go right ahead.
Um, they mentioned the reading thing, and I'd be remiss being, with the library desk to not address that. Um, don't limit that to bedtime. Like I have those moments where it's been a long day, and all right, if I'm gonna read a book, I'm about to read the book with the shortest amount of words so you
Yeah.
can get in that bed.
Yeah.
I also mentioned earlier how, I used to be the one reading to her in the mornings, getting her out the crib. But, now mom is doing that. And so I don't limit it to bedtime. I don't limit it to morning time. I create a reading environment
Yeah.
Sure.
for her. So there are books on the kitchen counter so we can read during breakfast. This morning, I don't know if I stated we were in traffic. Um, and I just read the book to her while she was in the back seat. It's a book that she reads a lot of times when we're on the way to school. And Yeah, I mean, have them in the bathtub. Like they have these books that are built for they're water resistant. And they'll be in the bathtub with her. You can read during that time. Like, so just don't limit the bedtime story or don't limit the stories to bedtime, I would say.
Yeah.
I had to touch on that.
Mm,
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. And this goes straight to our second question here, which is
mm.
the first week of school was chaotic for me and my 4 kids. We feel so rushed and someone always forgets something. My toddler has a meltdown before we even get out of the door. How can I adjust my routine to reduce the chaos?
Man, I would say I can relate to that one because I would say with my 3-year-old daughter, she's a little drama queen sometimes. So it's just like, just it goes back to that preparation. Some things you can already have at the door, get ready, before. But with the meltdown, like my daughter, she has a meltdown. So a lot of times she gets up early, she'll go put her makeup on. So I throw a little well, if you have a meltdown, you start crying, then all your makeup and then all your friends are not gonna like your makeup. So then that changes her mood, like, okay, nah,
Mm,
I gotta get my makeup together. I can't, So it's things you can give your toddler or, just like Mr. Honor said, podcasts, things that, they enjoy, a lot of time it be certain things they eat. I give my daughter and my son fruits and stuff on the way out the door. They
nice.
snacking on the way out the door, so it's really nobody saying anything. They eating fruits and stuff, apple, on the way out the door and stuff, and that becomes a routine. Or we'll get a like a little to go bag or something like that, or I let them try to pack their lunch. Get them some, to feel like, okay, I'm doing this because I'm trying to get prepared to get ready to go somewhere. So therefore they'll be like, okay, yeah, I got to do this to move faster. Let me hurry up and get out the door because daddy said I need, get my stuff together. So that's what I try to do, with that routine to keep that chaos and, all that frustration and yelling, oh, I forgot this and stuff like that down, easy.
Good man. You like the quarterback. You stay calm, the team stay calm.
Hey, that's why I
I
say I
love
love coaching now. Hey, I love coaching.
it. I love that. I love that. All right, we have a few more questions. I'll get to the next one here. I recently separated from my child's mother, and
Mm,
now I have my toddler on the weekends. I love
mm,
the time with my child, but I'm struggling to balance everything on my own and often feel alone. As
mm,
a single dad, how can I navigate this?
mm. That's good.
I would say one shout out to the dad for
Mm,
saying and that realizing, yo, I feel alone. Because a lot of
Yeah,
us don't articulate
that's right.
that. So I want to acknowledge that. And then from there, I mean, it sounds like he needs community. Like, bro, if he's on,
yeah.
if he's listening, you need community, man. Because and when I say that, it doesn't even have to be a space with a bunch of people. It could be one person, like I said earlier. Like the original Latin word for community means common, common or shared experience. And so you would be surprised how a conversation or a meetup with one person who has something in common with you, really builds you up. And I'm not a single dad, but I have had weekends where it's just us and getting that experience. Like it was one time this summer, I had to call a friend who has a 2-year-old, similar to me. And I say, hey, man, what's going on? What y'all up to? He said, hey, man, I'm chilling outside in the backyard playing, with the drone with little man. I said, I
Mm,
bet. I'm struggling over here. You mind if I pull up? And he said, yeah. And it was great. Like the rest of the day was just so much better. And had my ego gotten away, I would have thought it was, weak of me, if you will, to reach out. And so, yeah, finding community, if even if it's one person. Like I know we've built a community through our organization, but it doesn't always have to be, that granular, if you will. Just find
That's right.
another person. Yeah.
yeah.
That's right. That's right. No, man, that's man, that's great. That's great. And we are community here. So you're right. To the dad, if you on or any dads in that similar situation, definitely we're here. We're here. And we'll share a little bit about that a little later. All right. We have another scenario here. Um, yes, my twins, how about that? Are both melting down. Not just one, but you got two meltdowns. One lost their pacifier, the other spilled milk. The house is chaotic. I am supposed to be on a work call, but often feel like I'm about to lose it. How can I turn this around so that I am on time for my work call? Man, Alfred, I know you just spoke about this, and so
Love it.
did you, Kari. So, what would you say
I,
to this
I,
brother here?
I feel him. I feel him because I mean, my 3 and 4 year old, they close. I mean, everybody be thinking they twins, so I get it.
Mm,
I mean, I used to be in the same, especially when the pandemic, kicked in and everything. So, I mean, I would say it just, I guess I'm more. I burn up a lot of energy with my kids. Like, if I know I have something to do, like,
yeah,
I talk to my therapist later on in the afternoon and stuff like that. So I know I have the kids with me. So a nice snack, something very healthy, get them full. And I can have my therapy session inside, and I got my trampoline. I got like an indoor playground for them, so let them run around, and I can keep my eye on them at the same time. But at the same time, they be wore out. Just like Mr. Owner say, we got books laying around and stuff like that. They go to try to read. I don't call my son, especially after school, dozing off because he trying to keep himself up. So I would say if you know that you have to work, just try to in the morning, I would say, get them something healthy, find them something to watch, something to play with. Just like I said, our indoor playground. I got like a slide, a whole like a jungle gym set, and you can be in another room. And I mean, I have the camera in the house, the baby camera monitors and stuff like that. And I can watch them and stuff like that. And hey, I don't did it, so I understand what he's going through. So I would say burn up more energy. Make sure you have enough snacks, and that should help. I mean, because eventually they're gonna lay down. They're gonna be tired.
I love it. I love it. Kari, you wanted to add anything onto that?
Nah, man, Alfred touched on it, man. I mean, when I heard twins, I said, okay, we gotta pray for this brother, because it's like double everything that I'm experiencing. So I
Yeah.
go what Alfred said.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and he's things are a little chaotic. He's trying to bring it down and get on a
Ooh,
work call. So, yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. So,
Ah,
Alfred, thank you, man. Definitely appreciate that. Here's the next
anytime.
scenario that we got. Uh, I recently became a single full-time dad to a 5-year-old and find the evening to be the hardest. Once my son is asleep, the silence sets in. I find myself scrolling on social media for hours. It seems
Mhm.
like everyone else has it together and it and is doing so much for their kids. I'm
Mm.
starting to feel more disconnected to the people I was once close to and I'm not sure how to get myself together.
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah. I feel him
How
on that.
how how you feel about that one, gentlemen?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a post recently that said, when you were a kid, did you ever used to stare at the raindrops in the car window
Mm.
and kind of see which one was going to make it to the bottom of the window the fastest? Like,
Mhm.
did you used to do that, Alfred?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I did too, and all the comments were saying, I thought that was just me. Like, we all lived the same childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and then you start to realize, like, everybody else had those experiences that you
Yeah.
thought were unique, during your childhood.
Yeah.
Bro, it's the same thing with adulthood. So
Mm.
everything
right,
he was just saying,
Yeah.
right.
other adults are dealing with, and we got to
Mhm.
normalize that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
connect with people who will normalize. So he said he's feeling disconnected um, from people, and I know he didn't give details, but I know
Yeah,
I kind of feel disconnected in a sense from certain people who aren't in the same chapter of life that I'm in, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's okay. Like, because I need to connect with somebody who can relate to what I'm going through. So I have this is actually one of my favorite cousins. So it's all love here. But
Mhm.
when we're on the phone sometimes, and if I mention something that my toddler's doing, and he immediately starts talking about what his dog is doing. I love dogs. It's not a knock on dogs,
Yeah.
but it kind of, I kind of feel like it minimizes what I'm expressing.
Hmm.
Um,
Mm,
but when I'm talking to someone who is going through the same battle, it's like they're normalizing it because
Yeah.
it's one thing when your dog pees on the floor. It's another when we got a blowout and we trying to get to daycare, and
Yeah.
the whole morning is thrown off. So yeah, I think that kind of addressing that in terms of the connection, but um, in terms of how to get yourself together, I think get to the root of some of those issues. Because when I hear phrases like it seems like everyone else has it together, I think you said, Lamont,
Mhm.
and
yeah,
you mentioning doom scrolling incessantly at night. It sounds like, there's some unhealthy comparison there.
Yeah.
And there are two types of comparison that we all engage in,
Yeah.
torture or teacher. And it
Mhm.
sounds like this one is torturing him. And so get to the root of that so you can address the full picture. Um, because yeah, comparison is natural. Like again, a lot of parents are dealing with this. I'm not saying it's not natural, but kind of get to the root so then you can, take off from there.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good.
I
Man, I
was,
wish
I
we
was gonna
had
say,
time to dive into that also,
oh
man.
yeah,
But
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, but that's a good one
Yeah.
right there. But
Yeah,
no,
comparison.
that is a good one, but definitely one that we can revisit.
okay.
But I love
Okay.
it. And we have this last question from
Mhm.
and then we'll come back if we have time. My
Okay.
spouse and I just had a second baby 4 months ago. We are still struggling to get a routine, to get into a routine. So my wife and I feel like we have no time for each other anymore. And I already feel like my 3-year-old is jealous of the baby. We've all been there. What can I do to support my family emotionally and myself right now?
Oh man, I swear, but I feel like these may be some of my questions that I'd have answered probably some. But I would say, Mr. Honor, if you don't mind, I'd take that one. I would say, man, I would say because I've been through that and I know how it is, especially with my 4-year-old son. Um, it- I would say patience.
Mm,
I mean, I know you feel like, everything is going against you. You're not, able to connect with the wife. She as mothers, they go through they own little, tricycle or whatever, they go through their thing. And, fathers, we experience something different, but
yeah,
it's like, oh, like I wanted to be closer to my wife, but it was like some days she didn't want to be bother with, she been under the kids all day, she don't want to, she don't want to cuddle, she don't want to, so it's just like I had to think of ways like rub her feet, or massage her temple, shoulders, things that I know she needs, or when she, coming in, let me elevate your feet or something like that. And with the 3-year-old, of
yeah,
course, that's mommy. Of course, he's gonna be jealous. I mean, that's mommy. At that age, boy or girl. But I would say to support, the whole entire family. Just make sure you're your wife and your mother's advocate, because you know at this point in time, she possibly don't even want to yell at the kids because she's going through so much and stuff like that. So hey, like I said, she just had the 4 months, so what it is, postpartum depression and all that stuff, like stuff like that. So just try to facilitate because you got a 3-year-old. So keep the 3-year-old to yourself. The 4-year-old, she is always gonna want to be on the mom. So just find easy ways. It just takes, what's the word, a couple of sticks to build a house. I think that's what it is. Like as you start pulling the sticks up, eventually the house will build. So, just small things, small gestures, and patience. It'll get
yeah,
there. It'll get better.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, 4 months in trying to get a routine,
Yeah,
it may take a little longer. So
yeah,
to my dad, hey, hang in there, hang in there.
yeah,
Uh, All right, to our listening audience, the QCC team needs your feedback. So we're going to drop a link in the chat for you to share your thoughts about today's webinar. All right, please do that. And now we're going to segue into our Q&A section. We've been checking out the Q&A during our discussion and are going to get into those questions right now.
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. I'm just going to do a short introduction. My name is Angie and Wilson, and I am the Family Wellbeing and Support Manager here at QCC, putting these webinars together for you. I did want to, we do have a couple of questions in the chat, but Lamont, I know that you wanted to circle back on some two topics, I believe that that you mentioned that maybe we could talk about. I couldn't remember the first one, but I do know that the one of them was what we would say, let's talk more about like the comparison of what else can you all add about the dangers of comparing ourselves to other dads. And I believe you wanted to circle back on another topic that we spoke about at the beginning. And we have a few minutes for those. So if you want to go ahead and address those now.
Yeah. Oh, so perfect. So I'll go back to the last one. So the dad guilt, Kari, you mentioned that, and it resonated with me because oftentimes I take care of me last, and I've been doing this for years, right? But so it's interesting that this resonated with me because my children are now adults, but I still take care of me last. So Kari, like, talking about that dad guilt, you just, you want to take a few minutes and just expound on that?
Yeah, man. So I did this experiment last week at the gym. One of the trainers who works behind the desk, he's a dad, and I asked him. I started my timer. I said, "You got 30 seconds, bro. I want you to name everybody that you love." And he named his wife, he named his kids, he named his mom, he named his brother. He just went on and on and on. End of 30 seconds came. He was done. I said, "Cool, you passed." I said, "You named everybody but yourself."
Mm.
So if you were to name everybody that you love, how long would it take till you got to yourself?
Mm.
And that's something we experience. And my dad guilt surfaced honestly around the time we were sending her to daycare because I was starting to feel a little guilty about it and not really realizing, okay, now I can actually give her a better version of myself. One, she's benefiting from it too. And everybody was telling me that, but I'm like, nah. But no, she really was. And we saw it when we took her home for 2 weeks and everything was chaotic again and her routine was off. And so, yeah, like she benefits from it and I'm benefiting from it. And I said, I can't feel guilty about pouring into myself because, if the cup is empty, then what am I going to give to the rest of my family? And so, gotta love ourselves. Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. Alfred, you wanted to add something to that, please?
Yeah, that's what I was saying because I had got, I don't know, I was at a dad pro meeting again and I had got asked the same question. They were just like, if you had $1 million, what would you do with it? And I start naming, oh, well, I give my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, I give, take care of my kids. And he was just like, oh, okay. So you got down to, he was like, well, you probably down to about maybe a couple of hundred now. And he was like, so who, I was like, well, I may go get some to the homeless and stuff like that. And then he was like, well, you about to zero. He was like, what about you? And I'm like, oh man, yeah, I don't spend all the money now. Like I ain't even took care of myself. I don't took care of everybody in the world, but yeah, that's what resonates because I get it a lot. Like you just it's I don't know. I guess that little thin line where you gotta push through and just say, hey, I, you know, I'm outside. Let me just get my minute. Let me sit in the car or something and get myself together before I go inside or something. Just 5 to 10 minutes. Hey, it'll go a long way.
Yep.
Yeah. And I just wanted to, Angie mentioned that last one that we were just talking about.
Mhm.
So Alfred, you was explaining, the balance of the family. Do
Mhm.
what's, so you're telling the dad, hey, you know, the 4-month-old gonna gravitate to mom a little more naturally. You
Yeah,
do what you can with the 3-month-old. You
yeah.
know, oftentimes and I want us to speak on this because oftentimes we're talking two
Yeah.
parents working it out together. You
Yes.
know, the challenge a lot is when it's just you
Hmm.
trying to figure out and navigate this. But I want us to lift up the community
Yes.
because you don't grow in isolation, you grow in community.
Yes.
And I think we as men, we don't often ask for that help. So
Hmm.
we burn out and now we need help recovering. What
Hmm.
can y'all add that we can do to do more connecting to our brothers before the burnout?
I would say, uh, like how I started, like I would say I used to, just like I said, I was working on cars. And I think one day, my homeboy, we've been friends probably like 10 years now. And one day he just seen me just not moving. And then all of a sudden he started talking to me. And then, our other, coworkers, just dudes just started, I would just say, man, just like Mr. Arnold say, man, it don't take much. A community, all you gotta do is just talk to somebody. It could be an older gentleman, it could be somebody younger than you, it could just be that word that you need to be like, oh, okay, it's gonna be all right. So I would say just if you see a random, I mean, back when I grew up, I mean, a lot of people that lived out on the street, they had good wisdom because they been through it all. They don't seen it all. And brother, I'm out here on the street because of I messed this up and I took that to heart. And so I just like, okay, well, that's something I don't want to do. And it's people out here like that, take stuff to heart and and tell you some good wisdom.
Yeah, cool, man. Kari, what would you like to add?
Man, there was a few things going through my mind, but it just whatever. I don't remember the question, but there was a guy that you asked, and just became like real vulnerable, saying he felt lonely.
Oh yeah.
I think you have to start there, like start with addressing what that emotion is. And I know I wasn't raised addressing what the emotion is, like what I'm actually feeling. It was
Mm-hmm.
just, hey, you're a man, you're a boy, you're supposed to just, take it. But if you address what the emotion is, like you're going to be able to find solutions from there. Be it, through community, through conversations, through other resources, like this. So, but you got to address it. Awareness is the first step. Self-awareness is the first quadrant of emotional intelligence. And
Yeah.
so, you got to start there.
Mhm.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm gonna throw it back to Angie. And I want to thank y'all because we don't have a lot of spaces that we create for stuff like this, but
Yeah.
we've been very intentional to do it as an organization. But I know you as well, Kari and Alfred. I love the fact that you're boots on the ground. You're in the fold. So
Yeah.
when we see these red flags, I say, hey man, throw the signal out there,
Yeah.
because all you do, you need help, and we're coming or we'll find it.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Nitin, where he will close us out, but it's been really wonderful with really, really wonderful with all of you.
Yes, man.
Yes, I want to say thank you to our panelist and moderator, and certainly all of you for participating, submitting questions. I think just about every question resonated with me. And so just knowing that my feelings are not unique and that I'm not alone or I'm not weird, I think that even just knowing that is immensely helpful. Um, Kari, Alfred, and Lamont, can you please tell everyone how they can find you and more about your organizations as well as any additional resources?
I would say, yeah.
Yes. So our organization, the Library Dads, is at on TikTok with that same handle, Instagram with that same handle, at the Library Dads, website, thelibrarydads.org. Our next event is October 4th, 10:30 to 12. We'll be at a couple different libraries where we've built this community for dads to bond with their kids and engage with other fathers.
Awesome, awesome.
Mhm.
I'll be out of town. I wish I was in town. I would be there. My organization is the Furthering Father Corporation. We really look to really empower fathers and strengthen our parents and help to transform communities. We are actually in barbershops having these types of conversations
Yeah.
to give dads the tools to step back and address the attachment needs with their children. So the other thing is we're in the prisons and we're in the community, and we're looking to really do more work in our school system. So Alfred, I love the fact that you're right there. We already have a segue in to help strengthen what you're already building there. So and you feel free to visit our website at
Yeah.
furtheringfathering.org.
Yeah, I will. I would say I'm make sure I get up with y'all, and I'll say I'm partnered with the organization here with my school. It's called DAPS, Dad Affiliated Pupils. Just help dads, with their children. Most of the time is mostly with sons. We're trying to get, all children involved, but I would say it's mostly we starting with the sons now. So the head of the organization, I think his name is Dr. Boware, and it's another gentleman that I forgot his name, but they can reach me through that.
Great. Well, thank you again to our sponsor, Carter's. We greatly appreciate their commitment to help nurture and protect children and to build communities in which children can thrive. If you would like to get more information about upcoming webinars like the one we had today, sign up for our Georgia Parent Power Text Service. Text CARE, C-A-R-E, to 844-722-4255. As a reminder, we will send a follow-up email with resources mentioned during our time together today, along with a YouTube link to rewatch the webinar and the link to complete our survey. QCC is a nonprofit organization. If you would like to contribute to help us continue to provide great programs like this webinar, and to help every child reach their full potential, please visit us at qccdonate.org. That's qccdonate.org. Your contribution is greatly appreciated. So with that, we'll wrap. Thank you again for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.